Hello, and welcome back to Doomed, solo playthroughs through Arkham Horror the card game with a focus on roleplay and storytelling. Tonight you may have noticed something is a little bit awry, something different is happening. There's some sort of something in the air. That's right, I am not streaming tonight. If anybody were to know my shameful secret... What do you mean, YouTube? Sometimes I just get a hankering for some Arkham. And sometimes I decide I should record myself, so that I have to hold myself accountable for all of my terrible decisions. Welcome back to Doomed! I'm absolutely chuffed. If you're watching this on YouTube or the VOD, first of all, thank you. Second of all, the timestamps are in the description down below, where we do basic weaknesses, opening hands, and the start of the action, usually, is what I tag for standalones like this. If you are wondering where this fits into the Doomediverse, I am recording this just after having finished streaming, not just after, but like after having finished streaming Scenario 5 of Call of the Plaguebearer with Nomhair. Whoa, which is like a mess in the best possible way. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's been a mess because it's like quite complex. And I'm hoping for something a little simpler and hopefully a little spookier. It's very interesting. I had considered, a couple of folks in the community had suggested, like, oh, this, like, the Beard did a scenario, this scenario is really good for standalone, etc., etc. And I have plans to do, I think it's called Then There Were None, the Agatha Christie one, and I'm just back and forth on which investigator. But I'll be honest with you, I have my Google Sheets where I keep track of which investigators have appeared on Doomed, in what capacity. There we go. In what capacity, how their campaign went, etc., etc. And you know, I try to keep track of all that information. And I was hoping for a clean sweep of all the investigators at some point. We're now into chapter 2, so that might be a bit more challenging, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And so there's a few investigators that I really want to get to, but I was like, there's only one investigator in the first two, in the original core set, and Dunwich, that I have not yet played on stream as part of a campaign or a side scenario or whatever. So today, I'm very excited. Jim Culver, the musician, not even parallel, not even the really cool one. Jim Culver, the musician, is going to attempt to investigate a little ghost story of his own. You might be thinking, the musician, surely he's doing a music-themed scenario. No. Patrice Hathaway already went to the not the opera house, the, like, concert hall. I saw that there is a scenario, a fan-made scenario for Phantom of the Opera, and guess what? I'm going to have to play that at some point. Okay, enough yapping. As always, we're going to take a look at our investigator. We're going to figure out why they're here. We're going to draw some weaknesses. I am playing with 19 XP, which means we need 2 basic weaknesses. I'm going to draw 6 and pick 2. Pretty generous. And then we're going to dive in and see how our good friend Jim Culver gets on. Today, my friends, welcome back to Doomed, Arkham Horror the card game. Today we are playing The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, a fan-made scenario. I would think that the art, the, like, Headless Horseman art might have given it away, but there you have it. Jim Culver, as I mentioned before, is the musician. Not quiet at all. Dead folks get downright rambunctious when I play my horn. Jim, to me, is emblematic of what I would call kind of like classic Arkham Horror LCG. And I don't just mean Chapter 1, I mean like limited card pool, early days. My first experience with Arkham was with a friend of the stream, Peace Glardicus. We played the core set. I think I was Roland? Can't really remember. And then our first sort of foray was Dunwich, where I played Seth. And he played... shows how much I know. I think he was playing Rex. That does sound right. At any rate, the reason I bring that up is because, like, you know, at the time, Seth felt like a bit of a powerhouse. The card pool wasn't that big, but like that ability just felt like such a powerhouse. And Jim felt at the time a little limited. Very flavorful in a way that was very different for Arkham, I felt. Not like quite so powerful, but more occulty, more witchy, for lack of a better word. More mysterious. But his ability has not stood the test of time. Parallel Jim is somewhat popular, I would say, but I would venture to say that there are 2 or 3 investigators that are always ranked at the bottom of tier lists. And this guy's one of them, sadly. We'll see why in a moment, but first, let's find out about Jim Culver the musician. Jazz has been nothing but trouble. I don't know why I thought the sentence ended there. Jazz has been nothing but trouble for Jim since the day he picked up his daddy's trumpet. There was something weird and otherworldly about the writing on the inside of the bell, but the tones from it were smooth and dark, like good coffee. That trumpet landed Jim a lot of gigs until the time it made Widow Jenkins get up and dance the day he played at her funeral. After that, it was kind of hard to find work. Since then, Jim has learned a lot about jazz, and the things the graveyard ghouls talk about on cold autumn nights. Lately, they've been talking about the end, as in the end of everything that is and could be, the final rhapsody. And the fact is, Jim isn't too keen on that idea. Let's turn our music down again. That's probably okay. Do you see what I mean? I mean, maybe you don't, because maybe you, viewers of this video, will have played a lot of Arkham Horror, the card game, but imagine a time where the card pool was limited, where all we knew of Mystic was Agnes Baker, a survivor, essentially, like a waitress turned sorceress through an heirloom. And then you have this guy, a jazz musician from New Orleans, potentially, maybe? Don't know why I'm thinking that. Well, New Orleans has like a history of ghosts as well, right? And the dude's trumpet raises the dead. I love that shit. So, we know that Jim has been raising the dead and talking to the dead using his daddy's mystical trumpet, which we don't know what it does, other than raise the dead, obviously. And they're all talking about the end of everything, and he's like, well, no, we can't have that. Jim Culver is one of the Dunwich investigators, which means he has access to mystic cards, neutral cards, and 5 level 0 cards from any other class, which is an interesting bit of deck building, so you want to try to take level 0 cards that are quite impactful. We will see what those are. Let's talk about his ability now. So he's got 7 health and 8 sanity, which is good stat line-wise, or good vitality stats. 4 willpower, 3 intellect, 3 combat, 2 agility. 4 willpower for a mystic. Again, at the time when he came out, Agnes had 5, so 4 feels like a bit of a downgrade. But since then, I think it's become clear that like 5 willpower mystics are just, if you want to use your willpower for everything, why wouldn't you want a 5? His ability says treat the modifier on skull tokens you reveal as a 0. Anytime you reveal an Elder Sign token, you may choose to instead treat it as a skull token. Now, why would you want to do that? Great question. We'll have to figure that out. The Elder Sign effect is +1. So his ability takes a symbol token, skulls, which generally, in Arkham Horror, the card game, skulls, you have 2 in the bag, usually, maybe a third if you're playing Carcosa. Skulls generally scale over the course of a scenario. So as the scenario progresses, you have to add progress of some kind, or doom, or whatever. And based on the agenda number, the act number, or the amount of stuff that you've done, the skulls will get worse. Jim's ability smooths the bag for himself. It means that they're always treated as 0s. So like, if I just quickly kind of show off here, this is the bag as it stands now on standard. And in fact, so what I'm going to do, skulls could go from -1 all the way down to -4 or more. Skulls are always going to be 0 for Jim. which means evens is a pretty good stat line already. 2 up on standard. So this will become, I think, more important the later the scenario goes, because it just, But if I do say so myself, it's not a particularly sexy ability, which is why I think a lot of people are very cool on him. Now, here on Doomed, of course, the ability is only half the story. The other half of the story is the narrative. It's the story. It's the story. So we're going to have to see what that is all about. What do we know about Jim is that he is a jazz musician. His father's trumpet raises the dead, and he can talk to them. And as a mystic, he wants to try to prevent the end of the world. Who doesn't? But he actually has the power to do something about it, potentially. 32 cards in the deck because I'm missing 2 basic weaknesses. So let's go and get those, shall we? No, should we draw opening hands first? No, let's get our basic weaknesses first. I'm going to draw 6 random weaknesses, as long as they're, legal. And then we're going to go from there. Legal. Legal. Oh, no. Sorry, I see maimed hand, and I'm like, man, a jazz musician. Legal. 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 It's drawing the sign. Okay. Let's have a look. We pulled a couple of Chapter 2 weaknesses as well. Very exciting. Syndicate obligations. This would be, presumably, you owe money to the syndicate, whatever they are. Doesn't feel like something Jim would do, but you never know. Maimed hand. You must either put Maimed Hand into play in your threat area or take a damage and shuffle it into your deck. You get -1 health, double action, discard Maimed Hand. Terrible for a jazz musician. Potentially very, very flavorful. I was kind of hoping we would get, like, the End of Days or, like, Dread Curse or whatever. Drawing the Sign. This is a Madness weakness. I don't actually know if this has come up on Doomed before for one of our main weaknesses. Turn music up slightly, I think. Yeah, that'll be fine. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 5. This isn't that bad if you, well, depending on the scenario and such. Silver Moth, Alessandra found this before. It's an accessory slot similar to Maimed Hand. Instead of taking up a hand, it takes up an accessory. Gives you -1 sanity. Hemophobia. Put Hemophobia into play in your threat area. The first time each round an investigator at your location takes damage, take a horror. Legitimately love the art on this, actually. Not like the craziest shit I've ever seen in Arkham, but I quite like it. And finally, Stupor. Poor Joe Diamond. He was stuporous. Stupor can be healed as if it were a single point of horror on you. Okie doke. After you take a parlay, draw, or investigate action, you can't take any more of those. Okay, there's a few very flavorful ones here, I think. What do we know about our good friend Jim? We know that he... Well, I just kind of already said all the things, but I guess we're going to have to make some decisions for him, right? Could he be in a stupor because... Could he be in a stupor because of the drinks that he would consume playing in a jazz bar? Seems pretty good. Could he be a hemophobic? Maybe. Why not? Drawing the sign. What is the sign here? That doesn't feel correct. It's very Carcosa, but like I don't know why he would be drawing the sign. And finally, Maimed Hand. Tough break for sure. I'm gonna do something I rarely do on Doomed. I'm gonna draw 2 of this pile. These all felt equally flavorful and interesting. I'm gonna take 2 of them and dump them in the old wee deck. And we might not even see them. Oh, I could have drawn before I... Oh, well. Let's draw our opening hand now. No. Yes. Let's draw our opening hand now, as we should do, before we get to reading the agenda in the act. But this will sort of dictate what Jim starts with without knowing what he is trying to do. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Holy crap. Okay. Drain Essence doesn't actually do very much for me early doors. And neither does Favor of the Moon. So we mulligan, we keep the Sixth Sense, and we keep the 4 of Cups. Holy crapola. All right. Woohoo! Pardon me in the mic. This is a good opening hand. All right. Shuffle, shuffle. We gotta read the actual intro. This is, Terror Strikes Rural New York. This is a fan-made scenario for Arkham Horror, the card game, based on the classic horror story by Washington Irving. Now, I don't know if I've ever read The Headless Horseman. I've heard the song. It's a song I listen to sometimes. Do I have to say anything more? I don't think so. Let's just get into it. Standalone. Sheriff Engel waves the opened letter in one hand as he gestures to you. The New York police ignored the affair for lack of evidence, and now this Van Brunt character expects us to believe it's the work of some local boogeyman? If you want my opinion, the whole thing's hogwash. He did ask for you by name, though, so it's your call if you want to waste your time wandering the backwoods. The sheriff finally hands over the letter, letting you read the details for yourself. Frederick Van Brunt, a wealthy landowner of Dutch stock, has asked for your assistance in dealing with a specter that he calls the Headless Horseman. He blames this ghost for the disappearances of 4 people in as many weeks from the local town and valley of Sleepy Hollow. The police have been skeptical and dismissive, to say the least, but Van Brunt has stuck to his story. He has since sought out paranormal experts to deal with the phantom, and having heard of you through various newspaper clippings, has offered to pay you handsomely for your assistance. Jim is known as a paranormal investigator. Jim is happy to take money because sometimes music be slow in 1920s America. Whether or not you accept the reward is up to you, but the threat of a murderous phantom is challenge enough for your considerable skills. Gather, put the Headless Horseman, an enemy, next to the agenda deck out of play. Is he there? I don't think he is. Well, that's interesting. Uh-oh. Oh, that's... Hold up. Oh, God. Oh, there he... Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. He was, This is where the agenda used to be. Okay. My bag. Shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards, put all the locations into play. We begin play at the Van Tassel Farmstead. White Plains, Derelict Schoolhouse, Wiley's Swamp, Old Dutch Church, Major Andre's Tree, and the Van Tassel Farmstead. We'll read more about this later. I'm just making sure it's all... seems to be all connected properly. I see the connections working well here. Let's have a read of our agenda and our act. Jim has been invited to the village of Sleepy Hollow because, as a mystical paranormal investigator in Arkham, Massachusetts, or indeed up and down the eastern seaboard, he is known for raising the dead and perhaps even sending them back to where they belong. Agenda 1A, on the wings of the wind. The wind shakes the trees as if a storm were mustering, and the sun sets at a pace that feels far too quick. Something wicked stirs in the hollow with each passing minute. Forced, when this agenda advances, do not remove doom from each location in play. So it's going to be like that, is it? Act 1A, The Tale of Ichabod Crane. You meet with Frederick Van Brunt at his family estate for the full story of the Headless Horseman. The ghost has reportedly haunted the valley since the Revolutionary War and has claimed many victims over the years, most notably a schoolmaster by the name of Ichabod Crane. Ichabod's ghost purportedly haunts the nearby schoolhouse, which was abandoned shortly after his disappearance. If one phantom exists, then a second might as well, and perhaps... Now, what do we think happened here, guys? Look at this. Oh, I accidentally the whole word. Objective, only investigators at Derelict Schoolhouse may spend the requisite number of clues, 3, as a group, to advance. 3 clues at the schoolhouse. We're starting down here. The schoolhouse is up there. 3 moves away, not too bad. As a note, we have 2 skulls and one of the other each of the tokens. Skulls are, it doesn't matter. Jim can treat the modifier on them as 0, and they have no additional effect. Cultist, -2. If there is doom on your location, you must either take a damage, or make this token a -4. Tablets are -2. If there's a geist enemy at your location, you must either take a horror, or make this a -4. And the Elder thing is a -3. If this is a fight or evade test against the Headless Horseman, it automatically fails. Okay, all right. So he's a bit of a challenge. Let's have a look at the Headless Horseman, the Spectre of Sleepy Hollow. Gigantic in height and muffled in a cloak, Ichabod was horror-struck on perceiving that he was headless. Kind of spooky. 3 fight, 2 health, 3 evade, an elite monster geist enemy. Hunter preys on the lowest agility, which will be me. We're putting him into play next to the agenda deck, so he's not in play. But I'm just reading, just in case there's anything here that's interesting. When the Headless Horseman would be defeated, heal all damage from him, discard all cards attached to him, and move him next to the agenda deck out of play. Cool. After you successfully evade the Headless Horseman, take a horror. Remember that you gazed into the horseman's soul. Evade. Oh no, I don't think I built my deck correctly for this. Oh god, I think we're in trouble. Jim has 2 agility. Just pull an Elder Sign. Forehead. The Van Tassel estate has belonged to the Van Brunts since Frederick's ancestor Abraham married into the family some 100 years ago. The farmstead has seen better years, but is still every bit as rich as its reputation suggests. Frederick is generous with his considerable wealth, but is wary of those who would take advantage of his famous hospitality. 3 Shroud, 1 Clue. There's an action here. It says if you have 2 or fewer cards and in hand and 2 or fewer resources, draw a card and gain a resource. Limit once per turn. That's nice. So he kind of helps you out. That's good. Parley, test will 7. You may spend any number of resources to reduce this test difficulty by 1 for every 2 resources spent. If you succeed, remember you have interviewed Van Brunt's staff. I think Jim's probably ready to get the heck out there and just, meet some ghosts. Meet the ghost of Ichabod Crane, try to find this Headless Horseman and send him back from whence he came, aka hell. However, he's a smart guy. He's a man of the people. He knows that he's going to try to get as much information out of the staff, maybe the people of the village as he can, because maybe they know something that Frederick doesn't. When the game begins, 4 of Cups is in my opening hand, so I put it into play, and it gives me a willpower. Who's the 5 willpower mystic now? So I have 3 actions, and I don't have enough. Oh, although, I think what I can do is play Sixth Sense, play Song of the Dead, go down to 0 resources. I could have taken the willpower test too first, actually. No, I think we're good. Then, action, I have 2 or fewer cards and 2 or fewer resources. I can draw a card and gain a resource. Olive. Jim is readying himself for what is to come. He's got his sort of rituals that he needs to do. As the sun begins to set, he plays a mournful tune on his horn and then packs it away. Sixth Sense is, of course, Jim Culver's intuition for speaking to spirits. The Song of the Dead is music that he himself has learned. It's a jazzy version of the Dies Irae, obviously. Okay. That brings us to the end of the investigation phase. No enemies. Upkeep draws us a weakness immediately. When the dead start talking about what scares them, then it's time to listen. This fucking guy just dying in a swamp. What the hell, Jim? Revelation. Reveal 5 chaos tokens from the bag. For each skull or tentacle revealed, take a damage and a horror. Well, I'm fully healthy, but this could well hurt. I don't think there's anything I can do about it, so I'm just gonna do it. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5. A skull. 1 damage and 1 horror, but the final rhapsody goes away. I think what this sort of implies to me is, like, here at the Van Brunt farmstead, looking out into the sort of quickly darkening woods, the sound of swamp things, wildlife, echoing faintly in the distance. Jim's got his music and his intuition and maybe even a couple of friends, but what he doesn't have... Or no, sorry, not what he doesn't have. I'm retconning that. He has, his music, his intuition, a couple of friends, experience dealing with the supernatural, but he does not know what he is up against here. And he realizes in a little jazzy montage, he realizes that the spirits he's been there's like a flashback to him being grabbed by a demon in a crypt, and it's just like, listen, boy, the end is coming, the end is nigh, and when it arrives, it will be atop a horse, deep in the woods, or something to that effect. We go to 1 out of 5 Doom, and we draw an encounter card, our first of the game. I'm not happy I upkept into a weakness, but I guess I'm happy that it was early. I've got, like, some stuff. I'm more or less set up to do something. I don't have everything that I need, but let's go ahead and draw an encounter card. The Accursed Hollow, which is what this is. If there is a copy of it attached to your location against search, attach it to your location. The attached location gains Haunted, place a Doom on it. Reaction: after you defeat a Geist enemy at the attached location, discard Accursed Hollow. So interestingly enough, the location gains Haunted, place a Doom on Accursed Hollow. Skulls are minus X... some of the tokens refer to Doom on your location. Is a treachery at your location... The treachery is considered to be at your location. Is Doom on Accursed Hollow considered to be Doom on the location? I'm just going to Grim Rule it right away, and there's no one else in the chat to tell me I'm wrong. The Grim Rule here would be yes, it does count. Let's assume that it does. Let's also just try not to fail. We go back around to the investigation phase. I think we should get our friend out. Because I could take another whole ass turn to get set up, but I just don't think we're going to have time. Let's get Olive out here. Olive McBride, who will try anything once, is a witch. Hopefully we'll have some other mystical people here. Olive was accompanying... Ooh, who was she accompanying? The cultist. What's her name? Diana Stanley. Diana Stanley, when she went to Egypt. I think Olive also worked alongside someone that Nomhair played. I can't remember. Olive McBride is clearly a very prolific witch here in the eastern part of the United States. And I think Jim's temporarily teamed up with her, thinking that he's going to need some backup, because he's not so much a fighter, he's more of a lover than a fighter, but he can drive off a spirit if he needs to, but hopefully her blood magic will help us out here. Second action, I'm going to investigate because I want this clue. I actually really want to do the parley test to interview Van Brunt's staff, which means I would be taking resources. So I could once again draw a card and gain a resource. Maybe I just... I was just like, I'm not going to take a whole setup turn. Let's do the action on Sleepy Hollow, because I don't mind cards and resources. Fuck me. A maimed hand? You get -1 health. And I can double action discard it. Olive comes out onto the balcony with Jim, where he's resting, looking out over the sort of the dark quickly deepening in the woods in front of him. There is this distant sound of a horse whinny. Or did they just imagine that? She puts her hand on Jim's shoulder. You almost ready to go? And he's like, my hand's acting up. How am I gonna play my trumpet if I can't use my hand? I mean, it's crazy. I've drawn 2 out of 3 weaknesses. The doomed curse continues! Last action. Let's investigate my location. I would rather not hit Haunted, but I need to do this. I need to investigate. I have... sorry, I'm going to use my Sixth Sense to investigate this location to try to find clues as to where to go next. Or rather, the directions to the schoolhouse. I'm hopefully going to be able to interview the people eventually. Investigate using willpower. If a symbol token is revealed, you may choose a revealed location connected to yours. You are now investigating as if you were there instead of your location, and you may use either shroud value. This is going to be more useful later. Oh, actually... Sorry, so in that case, I shouldn't Sixth Sense. I should move next door and Sixth Sense there. And then if I happen to pull a special token, I can snag the clue off Van Tassel Farmstead. I think we play the candles out then in that case. I'm going to play the candles out instead. Olive McBride lights her ritual candles, which she plans to bring out into the woods. I have now spent 8 resources, but I feel pretty set up. A maimed hand and a ritual candle in the hand of Olive McBride. There are no enemies, so we go to Upkeep, where I draw another copy of Olive McBride, sure. We go to 2 out of 5 Doom. I need to interview... Well, I would like to interview Van Brunt's staff, and I also would like to get moving, because I have done literally nothing yet. Ritual candles, for those who do not remember, are an item that give off an eerie glow. After a symbol is revealed during a test you are performing, you get +1 skill value for this test. Widely believed to be probably one of the best hand assets or mystic assets, let alone mystic hand assets. This, for all intents and purposes, reduces the modifier on every token, on every symbol token by 1. This includes things like curses. Pretty good. Let's draw an encounter card here at the Van Brunt estate. It's a geist! That's an alert hunter geist, a Hessian Spectre. Uh-oh. 432, Hunter Alert. If an investigator engaged with Hessian Spectre has 2 or fewer cards in their hand, Hessian Spectre gets +1 damage and retaliate. Well, I know what I'm doing with my turn, which is hopefully kicking some ass. Jim begins to step down off the porch when that whinnying sound erupts all around him, and suddenly Jim and Olive find themselves in the midst of a revolutionary war. Aren't the Hessians like... I'm thinking of Cossacks. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I think this is a Revolutionary War hero, or soldier, who is back from the dead. Perhaps the Headless Horseman is also raising an army of the dead. Uh-oh. Let's fight with Song of the Dead. Spend a charge. Fight. This uses willpower. You get +1 willpower. If a skull is revealed, this attack deals +2 damage. I'm fighting 6 to 4. I'm gonna commit Olive McBride to be 7, and I'm gonna use Olive McBride to reveal 3 chaos tokens instead of 1. No skull. But I did reveal a symbol. Ugh. A 0 and a -3 puts me at evens, so that's okay. Which means I do 1 damage. I'm starting to think Song of the Dead might not be very good, guys. Oh no. Oh no! This is gonna be my whole turn, and I'm gonna get my ass kicked. So bad. Oh no. Oh god. Okay, I could always try evading. Oh my fucking god, he is alert too. Oh, oh no. Okay, we're going again. Am I spending charges on Song of the Dead for this? Yo, this was a bad deck. I'm immediately regretting my actions. It's okay. Are we fighting or are we evading? I'm evens. No, I'm 2 up attacking. I have to attack with Song of the Dead. We go 6 to 4. A skull! Holy shit! Jim! This would be why you would want to treat your Elder Sign as a skull, because if a skull is revealed, it deals +2 damage. the rider wheels around, brandishing his saber as he charges Jim down. Jim pulls his trumpet up, his hand crushed by some spirit attack of late, and he blows one clean, pure, beautiful high C, and the specter, poof, vanishes in front of his eyes. That was scary. I think we use the ability on the Van Tassel farmstead to draw a card and gain a resource. Okay, and this is the voice of Ra, which gives us more resources. Which will be good for next turn. Okay, that was scary, but I'm glad we pulled a skull. I don't think my luck will last much longer, but thank you, Olive. Thank you, Jim's beautiful playing. We've managed to destroy a creature. Again, there are no ready enemies, so we go to Upkeep, where I draw another Ritual Candles, and I go to 3 resources. 3 out of 5 Doom. We have not yet left the Van Tassel farmstead, but pretty soon. You better believe I'm going to be parlaying and just interviewing the staff. But first, a Looming Spirit. For each haunted ability on your location, you must resolve that haunted ability at 0 skill value, choose and discard a card from your hand. After you have resolved this effect, if you have 2 or fewer cards in hand, take a horror. Really cool encounter card. Love this. There is a haunted effect. It's place 1 Doom on a Cursed Hollow. Well, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to choose and discard a card from my hand. Ritual Candle. Oh my god, I haven't even gotten any curses. I'm just going to discard Favor of the Moon. Then I have 2 or fewer cards in my hand, so I'll take a horror and I will put it on Olive McBride, who points one long, gnarled finger into the woods, and she says, "There, I saw him! I saw him rushing in!" And Jim has to, like, physically hold her back as she tries to run off into the woods. It doesn't have Surge. It has Scheme. That's what I was reading. Okay. Okay. Phew. First action. Let's play a Voice of Ra, which gets me a resource. And then I'm going to reveal 3 tokens from the Chaos bag, which I'm not going to use Olive for. 1 symbol was revealed, so I gain an additional 2 resources. I'm at 6. Parlay difficulty 7. You may spend any amount of resources to reduce this test's difficulty by 1 for every 2 spent. I think action, parlay. I'm at 5 to 7. I can spend 4 resources and bring that down to a 5. Fuck off. That's gonna take forever. I don't have this kind of money. 7. I could commit the other Ritual Candles, but I should keep that for a Song of the Dead in case I need Song of the Dead again. I could also Olive McBride. Olive would be interviewing the staff along with Jim. The question is, are revealing 3 Chaos tokens going to help me more here or less? Obviously, it depends on which ones I reveal. Adoy. If I commit a Ritual Candles and spend 4 resources, so much stuff, I'll be 6 to 5. God, that's so not worth it. I bet this is important, though. I bet this is really important. That we do a bunch of tasks. But wouldn't I rather just get a clue? I played Voice of Ra. I haven't done anything else yet. I was going to also try to get a clue with Sixth Sense. I'd be investigating at 5 to 3. And I would use Olive. No, I'd use Olive. No, I would move and then use Olive. So let's just do that, I think. God, am I really not going to interview Van Brunt's staff? No, not until I'm rich. Let's move. I know this is crazy. A gnarled tulip tree rises out of the road, acting as both a landmark and a crossroads for travelers between nearby Terrytown and Sleepy Hollow itself. The lightning-scarred tree is named after a British officer whose capture at this landmark only added another tale of misfortune to the Hollow's unsettling atmosphere. Haunted, you get -1 to all skills until the start of your next turn. Resign! You flee the Haunted Hollow back to the safety of Tarrytown. 2 Shroud, 1 Clue. Third action, we're going to investigate here using Olive McBride and Sixth Sense. Striding out towards the tree, Jim lays a hand on it. A hand gnarled also by lightning, electricity from a spirit into his own body, which is what had maimed his hand in the first place. He lays his gnarled hand on the gnarled tree and takes a deep breath. Let's see if he can find anything. I'm going to use Sixth Sense to investigate with willpower, and I'm going to reveal 3 tokens. 1, 2, 3. I should have said I am 5 skill value. A tablet. There is no geist enemy in my location, so it's a -2, but Ritual Candles gives me a +1. So I will resolve the tablet and the 0, and Sixth Sense says, you may choose a revealed location connected to yours. You are now investigating as if you were there. You may use either shroud. I'm basically only at -1, so I will get the clue from the Van Tassel farmstead. Laying his hand upon the tree, Jim sees flashes of the school, a tall, thin man, scarecrow-like, Ichabod Crane, presumably, based on the descriptions, laughing, smiling, chatting with some of the servants before venturing off into the woods. A flash of a creature on horseback, darting between trees, black, inky, shadow-like. No enemies, which means I go to upkeep, where I draw a card, Curse of Eons. You may have noticed that this card references curses. Cards I have not yet seen. What's my curse generation in this deck? It's just Scrimshaw Charm, huh? Oh, no. Actually, I also have other cards that generate curses. Okay, whatever. We go to 4 out of 5 Doom. Theoretically, I need another 2 clues and Derelict Schoolhouse. So that's probably not going to happen, but we'll see. Hurled Pumpkin. Okay. Look out! Screams Olive McBride as a pumpkin hurls towards his head. Test Agility 3. This test gets +1 difficulty and peril if your location has Doom on it. If you fail, take a damage, shuffle on all non-weakness cards in your hand back into your deck, and draw the same number. I mean, I'm not mad at that, honestly. Well, I might draw my last weakness. Do I discard Maimed Hand? I mean, it depends on if I get another hand item. Well, I have Ritual Candles. Okay, fuck it. I have to take the test. I'm 2 to 3. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to take the test. 2 to 3. Fail. Take a damage. Bop goes on me. Shuffle all non-weakness cards in your hand back into your deck. Buy Curse of Eons. And draw the same number. The pumpkin explodes on the tree next to... Fuck! It explodes on the tree next to him. That is crazy. And starts to trickle down the gnarled bark into the roots. Olive heaves and drops to the ground. Oh god, it's disgusting. She goes, Jim, your hand. He is bleeding. The first time each round an investigator at your location takes damage, take a horror. Double action, discard hemophobia. Well, Olive and Jim may both be a little scared of blood, but what's a little blood amongst friends? I'm not overly worried, he said, laughing. Okay, that's crazy. All right, I drew 5 cards in my opening hand. Since then, I have drawn 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 cards total, I think. I mean, no, sorry, plus the 2 that I shuffled back in. So I've drawn 9 cards. 3 of those 9 cards were weaknesses. That is. But all my weaknesses. Which means it's smooth sailing from here on out. We're back around to the investigation phase. where we need to continue deeper into the woods, and I'm scared. We need 3 clues. We're not going to interview the goddamn staff, that's for sure. Do we get this clue and then move on? I think so. It's an easy clue to get. Let's investigate here with 6 sense. 5 to 2. Clue. Olive, buckle up. The dead may not have blood to bleed, but we do. And I'm gonna need you staying frosty if we're gonna make it through this. Second action, I'm gonna move up to Wiley's Swamp. A small footbridge marks the boundary between the open fields west of the hollow and the densely wooded glen where the Headless Horseman is said to roam. 3 shroud and 2 clues. An oppressive gloom immediately overtakes you as you cross the bridge. The trees close in around you, making each step forward more tense. Action, test intellect or willpower 6. Reduce this test difficulty by 1 for each doom on a location in play. If you succeed, remember that you studied the horseman's path. The haunted effect here is, I should have said, haunted is an ability introduced in the Circle Undone, which we've seen a little bit since then. Haunted is retaliate or alert, but for investigation. So if you investigate a location and fail, it triggers haunted abilities. Lose a resource. If you fail by 2 or more, also take a horror. The action here is to study the horseman's path. Willpower 6. I have 5, and I can go up quite high with a promise of power. However, if doom on locations gets placed, then this difficulty goes down, which is maybe something I could do later. I could also just take the test now and hope that it kind of just works, right? I don't know if I want to commit my promise of power to this. No, I don't, actually, because I have a feeling I'm going to need the promise of power for evading the Headless Horseman eventually. Which means, am I taking this test later? Let's try to get this clue. 5 to 3 with my 6th sense. Or, this clue. There are 2 clues here. Maybe we move up to the schoolhouse and then try to get clues there. There's the plains, there's the old Dutch church. According to the myths, the Headless Horseman is unable to pursue his victims over the bridge leading up to the church. You pray that this part of the legend also proves true tonight. Well, that would be great. So it's also blessed traded. So maybe this is the way to go. Jim and Olive look out across the small footbridge that moves deeper into the dark forest. My objective is 3 clues at the derelict schoolhouse. I'm about to advance the agenda, which is not great. But we do have a pretty full board state, which is nice. I got a clue, I moved. I could take the test here, but I want to keep my promise of power. I could try to get a clue here, or I could open up another location and then 6 sense at another location. That seems better, right? Let's move to the derelict schoolhouse so we can see what's there. The schoolhouse is a simple log building, though it has long fallen into disrepair. As you approach the schoolhouse, you hear faint singing that you recognize as an old psalm. Jim would recognize music. 3 shroud and 3 clues. The faint song ceases as you enter the rundown schoolhouse, making the silence and stillness all the more noticeable. The haunted effect here is to choose and discard a card from your hand. There's an action, spend a clue, search through the damaged books scattered about the old schoolhouse. Remember, you read the Hollow's history. Okay, well, I want to do that. That's 1 more clue, so I'm just going to try to get 2 clues next turn, so I have enough to advance and also enough to do the action on the schoolhouse. It's the end of my turn. Weaknesses in play. Maimed hand, -1 health. Sheesh. And hemophobia. When you take damage, take horror. No ready enemies, so we go to upkeep. Read the fucking signs. Let's read the signs at this church, baby! But first, we must go to 5 out of 5 Doom. And advance. Ah! Oh, I thought... Oh, shit. Agenda 1B, the horseman rides. I thought there were more agendas. The sound of galloping hooves mixes with an indescribably ominous chant. The unnatural words speak of a world far older than the earliest settlers or native tribes, and far more potent than a simple ghost story. It speaks of course, the final rhapsody. The end. Wherever the horseman roams, the thick foliage tangles together, and desperate spirits cry out in fury and terror. The haunted rider is surely the focus of this terrible spell, and must be banished. Place a doom on the location closest to Wiley Swamp that does not already have doom on it, other than the old Dutch church. This effect cannot be cancelled. The swamp gets a doom. Sucks. Ah, but that test is now reduced by 1. Put the Headless Horseman into play at Wiley Swamp. Ruh-roh. I wonder if he's a hunter. If the Headless Horseman is already in play. Okay. If there is doom on 5 locations, R1. Otherwise, flip this back to its A side. Okay, so... Okay. Oh, no. So, in fact, I don't have 5 doom times 5. I have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 doom. Unless I can remove doom from locations, which I have not seen any way of doing as of yet. Okay, so evading the Headless Horseman, taking a horror, gazes into his soul. And he is a hunter that does a damage and a horror. That's bad. I need... oh, boy. Okay. Well, as the agenda said, a horrible chanting erupts from the swamp behind them. The hair on the back of Jim's neck stands on end as he hears the galloping of hoofbeats. I must also draw an encounter card. Uh-oh. It's a decapitated victim. It's an aloof hunter. 2 fight, 1 health, 3 evade. Decapitated victim's location gains haunted. Take a horror. If there is doom on its location, it cannot be engaged. Well, defeating it is no bad thing, and I can see now that there are encounter cards that count the number of haunted effects on your location. Isn't that great? But I don't really have the time to engage and kill this thing. So, instead, I think we're going to start by... So the singing abruptly stops as Jim enters the church. Then there's an eruption of hoofbeats and chanting from behind him, and then turning back to the schoolhouse, Olive is standing frozen, the blood drained from her face, as a woman, skeletal, still, and headless, stands facing them. Presumably facing them. It's a bit hard to tell without a head. I think we need to read the signs here, which is a investigation where I add my willpower to my intellect, which takes me to 8 to 3, and specifically read the signs, says you may ignore any effect on keyword on your location which would trigger during this investigation, which of course includes haunted. So I'll take it. 8 to 3. 8 to 3. Minus 2. Success. We get 2 clues, which means I could, maybe I should, do everything that I have to do here. Because what I was thinking of doing was going back to the Wiley's Swamp and evading the Headless Horseman. But then I'm just going to be stuck at his location. I can probably fire off a shot from Song of the Dead to knock him out briefly, but like, God, is it bad if I let him attack me? It's not great. It's not great, I'll tell you that for free. But I think we need to read the Hollow's history. So I'm going to spend a clue to search through the damaged books scattered about the schoolhouse to remember you read the Hollow's history as the headless, decapitated victim looks on, theoretically. The hoofbeats seem to be getting louder, but never closer somehow. I'm just using a horror to mark the fact that I've done this task. And then I have an action left Which, again, I'm never going to have 2 actions for maimed hand or hemophobia. I mean, I might have to at some point. Holy shit, snacks. I'm going to be taking so much damage in horror. Olive might die, actually. Holy balls, that's bad. No, I need Olive. I need Olive. Do I advance with 1 action left? I think I do, in case it moves the Headless Horseman to my location. Fuck it. Let's do it. I need to find out what this game does. Act 1B, the schoolmaster's ghost. Underneath the rotted floorboards where the teacher's pulpit once stood, you find a small rusted strongbox. You attempt to pry it open, but don't make much progress before an ethereal voice calls out behind you. Just who do you think that belongs to? You lift your gaze to view the ghostly form of Ichabod Crane, another ghost in the schoolhouse. He is tall and thin, lending little grace to his phantom state, and he glowers down at you with an offended expression. This feels like kind of fun and funny to me. It's very like, not Scooby-Doo, but like, what's a good example? Who talks to ghosts, guys? This would be where chat would come in. It'd be very helpful. The books protected within that chest are my sole remaining possessions, works of augury, astrology, and much more unseemly topics. You assume that you can take, or Lord forbid, make use of such dark works? You explain to the gangly ghost that you seek to stop the Headless Horseman, and his expression widens in fear. You know of the rituals, then! You shake your head and his expression sours in frustration. Then I have much to inform you of and little time. You must follow my instructions to the letter if you do not wish to lose your head as well. Put the set aside Ichabod Crane and Ichabod's... What the hell was that? I'm home alone right now and I heard something. It's a bit spooky. Hello? Should I take a little break and go investigate? Oh, that was spooky. Okay. Put this... Just gonna check out that window. Nope, we're good. Put the set aside Ichabod Crane and Ichabod's books assets into play at the derelict schoolhouse. Done. We'll read them momentarily. Shuffle the set-aside copies of Disembodied Skull and Secretive Hag into the encounter deck. Good. This is going to go great. I'm sure this is going to be fine. Act 2A. Holy shit, the Hessian Horseman. Yeah, Ichabod unlocks the chest and pores over the books within. Oh! Well, that's nice of him. A coven of witches dwells within the hollow. For decades they have sought to... A coven of witches! Olive McBride smiles. I'm home. I knew there were people here. I knew there were women here. Powerful women. For decades they have sought to use the horsemen for their own dark purposes and have nearly succeeded. There is a ritual in these books that can counteract theirs, but we must learn more about the man who became the Headless Horseman! At the end of the round, if at least 2 of the following are true, you may advance. Gaze into the horseman's soul, recovered the horseman's skull, learned the horseman's name, studied the horseman's path, interviewed Van Brunt's staff, read the Hollow's history, interrogated an elder witch, listened to a victim's story, performed a divination spell. It's a lot of shit. If at least 2. So I think it's 2 per is very interesting to me, because there are 9 tasks here. So in a 4-player game, you would need to do 8 of the tasks. Because I'm solo, I've already read the Hollow's history. Would it be valuable to have more than 2 things done? Probably. Let's find out what's here at this location. Ichabod Crane, a man of superstition, is an ally and a geist. One might have mistaken him for the genius of famine descending upon the earth, or some scarecrow eloped from a cornfield. You get +1 intellect. Oh, but he's not under my control, so I don't get the intellect. And I can't use the reaction? Yeah. After Doom is added to a card at your location, exhaust Ichabod Crane, draw a card, or place a charge on an asset you control. Awesome. But I don't control him. Ichabod's books. Words of Magic, catalogued by the famed Cotton Mather himself. Action, test willpower 6. You attempt to perform a spell to gain more information about the horseman. You may choose and discard any number of cards from your hand to get +2 willpower on this test, for each card discarded. If you succeed, remember you performed a divination spell. Any investigator at the derelict schoolhouse may activate this ability. Okay. Well, I like it because I already have 5 willpower. And I could discard cards to get more. Because I'm not going to draw weaknesses. And I just need one more task to defeat him permanently? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Do we know? I feel like gazing into his soul is going to be valuable. So maybe next turn, he'll be here in the enemy phase. Maybe next turn I hopefully evade him, take a horror to gaze into his soul, and then test willpower 6. So, good lord. My alternative here also is move to the... yeah, there's also the test on Wily's Swamp, which is now a difficulty 5, which is probably better. I could also move to the White Plains, which might... well, will probably have another task on it. Man, yeah, how am I going to do all of these things? Where are all these tasks? I could also, because I'm thinking, I could also move to the White Plains, which the enemies will still hunt to me there, but there might be another task that involves having enemies or something to that effect. I honestly don't know. I've read the Hollow's history, which is good. I think opening up the locations isn't going to be bad, so let's spend our last action moving to the White Plains. The White Plains, so called because of the scattered groves of white balsam trees, was once the site of a battle during the Revolutionary War. Surprise, surprise, more dead soldiers. The field has long since been scavenged of anything useful, but that does not mean it is empty. 4 shroud and a clue. Shapes move within the mist in ways that you cannot blame on the wind. Ugh. Oh! Sorry for yelling. 4 shroud, 1 clue. Victory 1. Damn it! Haunted, take a damage. Forced, when you reveal White Plains, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a geist. Spawn it here. 2 enemies if there's more players. Action, test combat or agility 4 gets +2 difficulty for each geist enemy at the White Plains. If you succeed, remember you recovered the horseman's skull. Well, that'd be dope as hell, but I just don't think it's happening. Let's go get me an enemy. A geist enemy from the encounter deck. Perhaps a disembodied skull? A secretive hag. Oh, that's a witch. I'm just looking at enemies. I was worried that I would have to draw a geist that's not, like, aloof. There's another... I could get a decapitated victim again. Just so that I don't have to fight anything more. The disembodied skull is also an aloof hunter. If you are engaged with the skull, parley test intellect 3. If you succeed, remember you listened to a victim's story. If you fail, it attacks you. While it is at a location, it is treated as if it had Doom on it while resolving enemy and treachery effects. If there's already Doom on that location, it loses aloof and gains +2 fight and alert. No, well, fuck that. I'm getting the decapitated victim. You can't make me take a skull because I already have a decapitated victim. Oh, Jesus. All right, well, recovering the skull is going to be very difficult when there are dozens of ghosts wandering the plains. In the enemy phase, hunters hunt. The decapitated victim leaves the school to pursue Jim, and unfortunately, it would seem that the Headless Horseman has come home to roost as well. Charging across the field, resplendent in crimson. Or is that blood? The hunter himself does a damage and a horror, but when I take damage, I take a horror, so I'm going to take 1 damage and 2 horror, which I will put on me, and not on Olive yet. I think that's okay. We'll see, I guess. Oh my god, an upkeep draws me. Another read the signs. Cool. We go to 2 out of 5 doom because there is doom on Wily's swamp. And we draw an encounter card. It's another decapitated victim. Okay, so all of the all of the decapitated victims are just floating about the White Plains. It would appear to Jim, the man who can see the dead and raise the dead with his trumpet, it would seem to him that all of the ghosts in the world are flocking to the White Plains. You know that scene in Us? Is it called Us? Shit. What's that movie called? Before Nope and after Get Out. I think it's called Us. I should look that up. Anyway, there's that scene where, let's just say there's lots of someones. It's that. There's a bunch of ghosts wandering across the field. They're all aloof. So I just need to deal with the Headless Horseman. Easy peas, lemon squeeze, right? First action, let us attempt to evade the Headless Horseman. Sure, man. I have 2 agility. I'm going to promise myself some power, which adds a curse and takes me up to 6 to 3. Do we use Olive McBride? No. After you successfully evade the Headless Horseman, take a horror to remember you gazed into his soul, which is pretty good. 6 to 3. Yeah. Let's just do it. A skull, -2. If there is doom on your location, there is not. And the ritual candles give me a +1. Success. We have to. I choose to take a horror and put it on Olive so that I gaze into his soul. As the creature charges towards Jim, he once again raises his trumpet, gently placing his maimed hand along the side to support it, and blows that beautiful golden note. The Headless Horseman seems to writhe with laughter, although no sound comes from him, and charges faster, raising his saber, pointing it directly at Jim's heart. The black horse upon which he rides, flame and smoke jet from its nostrils, and Olive at the last second grabs Jim and drags him out of the way as the horseman charges off into the woods. Jim looks up at Olive. What did you do? And then she looks at him more closely. What did you see? I gazed into that man's soul, he says. Sick. Second action. He shouted. Okay, we've done 2 tasks. Yeah, we've done 2 tasks. I will place a horror on the horseman to remind myself. So at the end of the round, 2 of the following may be true, but I'd love to do another just in case. So I think we go back to Ichabod's books and attempt it? Fuck it, I love it. Let's try it. I'm going to move back to the derelict schoolhouse, and I'm going to attempt to perform a spell to gain more information about the horseman. Now that I've gazed into his soul, this should make sense, right? Choose and discard any number of cards from your hand to get +2 willpower. I will discard read the signs. So I'm at 7 to 6. And I will use Olive. I'm 1 up. I actually think I don't use Olive here. Olive McBride increases the chances of things like skulls, which are good for me, but it also increases, like, what's the most likely scenario, right? That I pull a couple of these tokens. The ritual candles are indeed essentially lowering, in fact, I'm going to just do this. It's essentially lowering all of them by 1 step. So pulling a single token would get me to, like, -1, more likely than not. God, I want to use Olive before she's killed, but I don't want to lose this, right? Is it going to guarantee me the success? I'm just going to use it. I'm going to use Olive. Sorry, story first. Olive is obviously going to help Jim attempt to perform a spell to gain information about the horseman. I don't even need... Why am I even asking? Reveal 3. Choose 2 to resolve. Curse, skull. Let's think about this. The curse becomes a -1. The skull becomes a +1. Because I'm treating it as a 0. +1 from this ritual candles. So I'm 0 skill, zero skill, that's me. That's Jim. I'm at a 0, but I have to draw another token, because I'm resolving the curse. And I am still 1 up on this test, because I went up to 7. -2, not -3. Damn. But the curse comes out of the bag. Okay, so I do not succeed. That's too bad. If I hadn't used Olive, I would have cursed into the -3 I get. Well, yeah, I can't say that. It's always random, right? So it's too bad. The spell fizzles and fails, and Ichabod. Jim looks back up at Olive, and she just shakes her head. I think this man is far beyond my powers. I wonder if my sisters know anything. In the enemy phase, hunters hunt, and all the decapitated victims stream back in through the door. And then I upkeep into a spectral razor. And, of course, the Headless Horseman readies as well. At the end of the round, if at least 2 of the following are true, you may advance. I'm going to, even though I wonder if maybe I should do more. Act 2B, the cavalry arrives. Scattered pieces of the horseman's past lie hidden throughout the hollow. From folktales and superstition to fragments of actual history to supernatural meddling, each piece helps you get a sense of the specter's identity. By the time you have gathered enough precious information, you can hear the sound of galloping hoofs drawing rapidly closer. The ghost of Ichabod hovers towards you, index finger pressing down on one page in a weathered book as his eyes dart nervously about. Give me everything at once! If we do not banish the spectre now, we may lose this chance forever, and your head with it! Choose an investigator to take control of Ichabod Crane. Well, I have charisma, so +1. Oh, Flower's gonna see this, and Flower's gonna be like, you didn't take fine clothes. And I was like, well, I mean, Jim is wearing his finery. Did I take fine clothes? Maybe it's just buried in my deck somewhere. I'm thinking about it because I was like, there's been no parlay in this scenario. There's been several parlays in this scenario. +1 intellect. After Doom is added to a card at your location, exhaust Ichabod, draw a card, or place a charge on an asset you control. Song of the Dead's gonna need them. All right, what else happens? Put the Headless Horseman into play at Wily Swamp, or move him to Wily Swamp if he's already in play. Well, that doesn't do very much. Search the encounter deck and discard pile for each copy of Burgeoning Evil, and attach them to the Headless Horseman. Oh my god. There are 3 copies of this treachery. I don't know what they do. Let's have a look. Is it each? Each. Let's have a look. What's the deal with Burgeoning Evil? If there are 3 copies attached, he gets Retaliate and Alert. I am sure it is meant to say, if there is 1 copy attached, he gets +1 damage and +1 fight. If there are 2 copies attached, he gets +1 horror and +1 evade. If there are 3 copies attached, he gets Retaliate and Alert. I am sure it is meant to read that all 3 of them, that they stack. Like, if there are 3 copies attached, he additionally gains the following. So, 4 fight, 4 evade, 2 damage, 2 horror. I'm about to get absolutely slammed. I might actually just die here. Retaliate and Alert. Okay. Act 3A, Banishing the Spectre. As Ichabod begins to chant an incantation of his own, the Headless Horseman spurs his steed furiously towards you. The jack-o'-lantern in his hand glows like hellfire, but he speaks not a word in his approach. The time of reckoning has come. Well, this has been very fast. The Headless Horseman gains +4 health, and cannot leave play except by being defeated. Ignore the forced effect on the Headless Horseman. Okay. So he's a 4/6/4 now. Well, that's great. Action, spend 1 to 3 clues. Fight! This attack can only target the Headless Horseman and uses intellect instead of combat. Good for me. You get plus X intellect for this attack and deal plus X damage, where X is the number of clues spent. Well, I don't have any clues, but I do have a Song of the Dead, which is like, okay. I have a Spectral Razor. That's 2 damage. Oh, God. If the Headless Horseman is defeated, advance. Okay. Wait. Was that? That was the end of the round. That was the end of the round. So we add a Doom and we draw an encounter card. Bewitched. If there is a copy of Bewitched in your threat area, it gains Surge. Ignore the first skill icon committed to all skill tests you performed. Well, that's rude. Oh, this is like in TCU. It says action test willpower 3. If you succeed, discard Bewitched. If there is an exhausted witch enemy at your location, you automatically succeed. It's just like in TCU. The circle undone. The first skill icon committed to all skill tests you perform. Well, that's just shit, man. Okay. What's the game plan? He does 2 damage and 2 horror. Is that enough to kill me? No. Almost enough to kill me? Yes. Oh boy. I'm thinking that I might want clues. Then I could, like, Spectral Razor. I can fight with the Song of the Dead. Or I could have Ichabod use the incantation with as many clues as I've managed to gather to kick his ass. So I think we just try to get clues here. Because I could also move to White Plains and investigate there, which has a haunted effect, which is bad. I think the haunted effect here is pretty bad too. But, you know, it is what it is. I think if we get clues, then I'll have a big hit that Ichabod Crane can help me make using intellect, which is probably valuable. And I don't want to bother testing will or double action discarding anything else. Double action discarding Maimed Hand would give me a health, basically, which is good, obviously. But I don't know if I have time, because I could also just accumulate 3 clues, and then next turn, I mean, hopefully I can accumulate 3 clues, and then next turn, I just kick his ass with a... You get plus X willpower, or intellect, and deal you deal plus X damage. So I could theoretically do, like, a 4 damage hit, and then I have Spectral Razor, I have Song of the Dead, like, I have a bunch of options next turn. Clues this turn, kick his ass next turn. Let's use the Sixth Sense. Jim is holing up in the school. Oh! Or run through to the Dutch church, where legend has it, the Headless Horseman cannot tread. If I do so... No, but I'm not getting... No. If I move in and then move past, it'll trigger an attack of opportunity, and presumably he won't be able to enter the Dutch church, but I'm going to take 2 damage and 2 horror, which is actually 2 damage and 3 horror. I may as well just do this. 5 willpower. Investigating. Oh my god, it's not good. Let's investigate using Olive McBride and see how effed we are. I resolve 2 of these tokens, a skull and a -1. So it is essentially a 0 total, because the skulls are now +1 with the ritual candles. Sixth Sense says I may choose a revealed location connected. I am now investigating as if I were there, and I can use either shroud value, so I'll take the clue off of White Plains, earning me 1 sweet victory point. Now, do we just take another shot at it? If I fail, I will be forced to discard the Spectral Razor, and I will take 3 horror. Which is, I think, enough to... At that point, that's enough to... Oh, no, I have Ichabod Crane. So it would kill Olive. Oh my god, it would be 1 on Ichabod, 2 on me, and then I would have to kill Olive in the enemy phase. We don't love it, but let's do it again. 6 cents? I just feel like I need, if I can get the clues, 5 to 3. -2. He's sweating bullets over here. Jem, you're killing me. Let's take a clue off of the schoolhouse. Okay, now, this is interesting. If... Oh, yeah, I do want to keep Olive alive, don't I? If I... Now, I would need to investigate with six sense and succeed with a symbol being revealed so that I could investigate a connecting location, which is Wily's Swamp. If I do not succeed, I take 3 horror. If I succeed but do not draw a symbol, then nothing will happen. It's not ideal. So, do I just set myself up for success by drawing a card instead? This 2 clues is a 3 damage hit. Song of the Dead is maybe a 3 damage hit. Blech. Maybe. Spectral Razor is a 2 damage hit because the guy is elite. Song of the Dead is maybe just 1, we don't know. I think Spectral Razor is 2. And 1 more clue would give me a Headless Horseman. Alright. I called this Jim for fun. I could draw a card. What would I be looking for? Another Spectral Razor. I'd be looking for another Spectral Razor. I'd be looking for... Deny Existence. Fucking my other ally, which is obviously not useful because I don't have space. Favor of the Moon, but I have no curses. The Trumpet, but I don't have no free hand. Drain Essence would actually be huge here. I'm just thinking about what's in my deck. It's not going to be a weakness, so Drain Essence would be huge. I think I draw a card. God, do I draw a card? Getting a clue is not guaranteed, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 symbols in the bag that would pass and get me a clue from Wily's Swamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's not worth it. I'm not doing it. I'm drawing a card. Last action, draw! Nkosi Mabati, the enigmatic warlock. He's so cool! But I fucked up by not drawing him earlier. Bewitch says, ignore the first skill icon. It does not say ignore all of the skill icons. In the enemy phase, here we go. It's smashing time. The Smashing Pumpkins. I'm Billy Corrigan, and this is Smashing Pumpkins. The Headless Horseman bursts through the door of the derelict schoolhouse. The roof explodes outwards as the dark steed upon which he rides rears back, a massive hoof punching a hole in the wall as his saber chops down, destroying Ichabod's desk in the process. I take 2 damage and 2 horror because Burgeoning Evil has given him extra damage and horror. 2 damage and 2 horror, and the first time each round I take horror, or damage. I haven't taken damage, so I have to take 2 damage and 3 horror, which is all gonna go on me. I'm gonna put 1 horror on Ichabod just for funsies. This is crazy town. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I need to take a short break before I do this finale here. Okay, he's a 4/6/4. Upkeep draws me a Curse of Eons. We go to 4 out of 5 Doom. Oh, right. Fuck, actually, I really need that to not fire. And we draw an encounter card. Quickening Ritual. Put it into play in your threat area. When an encounter card you have drawn gains Surge, take a damage or a horror. Well, it would appear that Olive too late turns to Jim and says, "We're being cursed! The witches have cursed him to ride around this forest forever, taking lives and heads for their ritual. My brethren? My sisters?" And she screams out into the world, "My sisters, you must stop this! We are not your enemy!" Quickening Ritual currently does nothing. We are very close to death as it is. So in fact, I think we're okay in that sense. We're going to go back around to the investigation phase, where I have 3 actions, where I'm going to attempt to kill the Headless Horseman. The first action will be a Spectral Razor. We draw our, Jim draws back his scarred, gnarled hand, and it is suddenly a flame with a ghostly blue light. Green. Blue was Izzy Barnes. I am fighting. I am adding my willpower to my skill value. 8. Immediately before this attack, you may engage the attacked enemy. It deals +1 damage. Okay. 8. Combat versus 4. Yep. A -3. 2 damage. I think he punches the horse itself. Just, like, his hand makes contact with what should feel like flesh, but in fact feels only like rattling bones and the pull of darkness. The creature whinnies, neighs, and then screams as the Headless Horseman leaps off his horse and attempts to attack Jim. Second action, we're going to fight him using the clues. Spend 2 clues. Fight. This attack can only target the Headless Horseman. Uses intellect. You get +X intellect, deal +X damage. So, 4 to 4. I spend 2 clues. I go up to 6 to 4. Olive McBride. Oh, buddy. Oh, God. Okay, 6 to 4, and I'm using Olive McBride. 1, 2, 3. Shit. That sucks. I guess I did kind of know that was going to happen. All right. The Headless Horseman swings again, seeming to swing wide as Jim just takes a step back. Sorry, I should explain this. I have to resolve 2 of these tokens, so I have to resolve the... I'm choosing to resolve the -1 and the -2. They're not symbols. A -3, I was only 2 up, so I fail, and there's no symbols. So he has Retaliate, so he does 2 damage and 3 horror again. 2 damage and 3 horror. Does that. I think that's it for Jim, because of the maimed hand. Man, maimed hand. I should have killed maimed hand. I mean, drawing 3 weaknesses in the top. Let's talk. He appears to swing wide and instead strikes Olive McBride down. And then as Jim turns to see her fall, her head rolls slowly, taps his foot. She shrieks, and her head, now bereft of her body on the floor, floats up in front of Jim and starts to cackle wildly as it floats and sits atop the Headless Horseman's headless body. Jim is defeated. If there's a resolution. Is there like a resolution 1? The Headless Horseman proves too much of an adversary for you to overcome. You flee for your life, only barely escaping the gruesome rider as darkness blankets the hollow. In the days following your narrow escape, you learn that Frederick Van Brunt and his staff have all disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The newspapers speculate that with his wealth, Van Brunt was committing tax fraud and fled the country once he was discovered. The truth, of course, is far more arcane than the papers are willing to print, and you hope that the evil power dwelling in the hollow never spreads beyond the cursed glen. The Headless Horseman continues to haunt Sleepy Hollow. Victory X, which is 1. Jim, I will say that turn, the plan that turn was Spectral Razor, a 3 damage hit with clues from Ichabod, and then a final hit from Song of the Dead. I'm just going to pull a token for Song of the Dead. It was a Elder thing, which would have been a -2, but it's an auto fail if you pull it against the Headless Horseman, so there you go. I think, well, mechanically speaking, it was a bit of a slow start. I pulled all 3 weaknesses in my deck in the top, within the first 10 cards of a 30-card deck, which is nutso, or I mean, approximately. Like, I pulled it in the first half of my deck. I do love the scenario, because I think the Circle Undone, witches, curses, ghosts, geists, all that sort of stuff is very exciting to me, very cool, feels balanced. Jim, unfortunately, I loved having Sixth Sense, Song of the Dead, Ritual Candles, Olive McBride. I gotta go check out that sound in a second. But I was not so happy to not have any curses. That was a lot of fun. If you're watching this on the VOD, and where else would you be watching it? On my computer? Thank you for doing so. Leave me a comment down below to tell me if you enjoyed this, or what I should have done differently, other than not play Jim. I had to get him, I had to check him off the list. My friends, thank you so much for joining me. There should be a link in the description to where I get my sound on Epidemic Music, where I get my music, Epidemic Sound. There should be a link to the Discord as well if you want to join the Discord. I'm part of RPG Clinic, where we talk about RPGs. But my channel, we talk solo RPGs and a heck of a lot of Arkham. Check me out there. Perhaps Jim's Song of the Dead just needs a little coda. A little repetition, a little rehearsal maybe? We're going to find out, maybe one day, if Jim can give the Headless Horseman a proper send-off. We'll see you next time on Doomed.